Thorne on your left, Kurtzman on your right. Both these players 11-2. A win will lock them into top 8. So this is a very important match for both of them as we get very close to the elimination rounds now. For Andrew Kurtzman, it's a Grove of the Burn Wolves, a card we haven't seen for a little while, into a Chromatic Star. For Ian Thorne, he's got a Copperline Gorge. Both these players starting off with red and green producing mana. Both of them have 1 mana artifact that are very important to each of their engines. For Ian, however, it is Shriekhorn. Another Grove of the Burn Wolves here for Kurtzman, and now we'll see a Mind Stone. Will there be another artifact? There will be in Pyrite Spellbomb. Pass the turn back. Kurtzman could go off as soon as next turn, depending how things do shake out. We'll go over to Ian, who will activate that Shriekhorn twice. Stinkweed Imp will now be Dredge. Show you another Shriekhorn, another Stinkweed Imp, a Narcomoeba, a Bloodghast, and a Wooded Foothills. Narcomoeba will enter the battlefield given the dredging. Let's see if Ian can do even more here on the second turn of the game. Off to a pretty nice start. This will be another copy of Shriekhorn. It'll enter the battlefield with 3 counters. Knock it down to 2.
Foil Shriekhorn's pretty intense.
I agree.
That's someone who means it.
Another Narcomoeba there off of the Shriekhorn activation. Now you're going to get a Stomping Ground that will enter the battlefield tapped. Bloodghast will come back from the graveyard, and Ian has built himself up a nice little battlefield. Yes, but that battlefield is slow, and Kurtzman could end the game as soon as this turn, depending on what his deck has available. He'll play a Buried Ruin. He'll tap 4 mana. This is a Crackling Ironworks, and just a passing of the turn.
Well, he might not be in a position to go off from here unless he gets extremely lucky. So I think he just wants... He's not under pressure to do anything. It's not like he's going to die this turn. Might as well go into your next turn with all the mana in the world to work with and then go from there.
And he certainly doesn't have to be concerned with dying this turn, as a Stinkwind Imp will dredge 5 more cards, among them a Bloodghast and a Faithless Looting. A Shriekhorn activation will put a Stinky in the graveyard. We'll get 2 more cards placed in the graveyard in Mountain and Copperline Gorge.
And this is why I think the Game 1 matchup here is rough for Dredge. All this is very impressive, but it is slow.
Yes.
And you don't have that much time. And if you don't have relevant interaction, which this deck does not,
Dredge is the kind of deck that once the ball actually fully gets rolling, it's basically impossible to stop.
you can't manage it with removal.
Yeah.
But you can manage it by just killing them because they don't defend themselves at all.
And so that's kind of the plan if you're a Dredge player like Ian Thorne. Certain matchups you play against, like humans and other creature-based matchups or removal-based matchups, they can try to kill all your zombies and your Bloodghast and so on and so forth, but they really have some problems doing that, and then Conflagrate will take care of the rest. In this matchup, the Dredge decks of many moons ago, they would dredge a lot of their library and then flashback Dread Return to do something busted.
Yep.
That's not an option here. So you're going to see Ian Thorne do even more dredging. A lot of good stuff going on here. Narcomoebas, Prize Amalgams, all that stuff. But as you mentioned, partner, it's all just pretty slow.
Yeah. It's not a lot of pressure.
And that's why Kurtzman, his last turn, was able to just say, I'm going to play Crackling Ironworks and just pass the turn because I'm not worried about anything.
Now, Thorne might be threatening lethal next turn.
Yes.
So Kurtzman's going to have to go, but he's going to get basically, 4 undisrupted turns, and Crackling Ironworks wins pretty consistently with that sort of setup.
A Prize Amalgam will come back as well, so there will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of power on the battlefield there for Ian Thorne. You throw in a Conflagrate, potentially, and Kurtzman could die next turn, but I have to imagine that Kurtzman is going to get ready to have some fun here.
He's got a lot of resources to work with.
And he's grabbing the mana counters for green, red, and colorless. And it's time to do a little bit of iron working. Going to start by sacrificing a Chromatic Star. I'll give you 2 colorless, and that'll get him a new card. Well, Andrew is 11-2, so it stands to reason that he does know how to play the deck here. And he'll use this mana
Scrap Trawler,
to play what I believe is a promo Scrap Trawler.
And that should do it.
That's an Inventor's Fair, which can find Mere Retriever. Sacrifice this Mind Stone, go up to 3 mana, trigger the Scrap Trawler, get back the Chromatic Star. Player Chromatic Scar going to fall down to 2. This will be an Ichor Wellspring. No more mana floating. Trigger, draw a card.
You can sacrifice the star or the Pyrite Spellbomb as appropriate, then sacrifice the Wellspring. Lots of cards, lots of mana. Ian Thorne sitting there on his hands, hoping that Kurtzman hits the, less than 1% of the time that this deck fails to go off from the spot.
It is rather unlikely, but Ian will make Andrew go through it, at least for a little while, as he'll sacrifice a Pirate Spellbomb, get 2 colorless mana. He'll sacrifice an Ichor Wellspring, draw a card from that. Going to get back the Chromatic Star. Now he'll draw a card. There is Scrap Trawler in combination with Crocline Ironworks. This is the engine, folks. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost. So really, as Kurtzman's going to sacrifice Inventor Sphere, missing pieces to the puzzle right now are Mirror Retriever and or Mox Opal to make this very easy.
Which will no longer be missing here momentarily. Scrap Trawler is very cool.
Cool, huh? That's the word you're going to use?
3/2 is odd on that one. It's like the fantasy land where anyone's ever going to attack with it.
And not only is it a busted engine, but it's some weirdly aggressively costed.
Right, yeah.
I can trade up with something else, maybe.
Save the 3/2 for something else that needs it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Scrappy Dappy should probably be like a 1/3 or like an 0/2 or something.
Right, yeah.
There's a Mox Opal, as Kurtzman now playing Mirror Retriever. He's going to add a little mana there with Mind Stone. Good mechanics here from Andrew thus far. As he'll play a Chromatic Star. He'll sacrifice the Mind Stone, get 2 colorless, get back something from the Scrap Trawler. It'll be a Pyrite Spellbomb. The engine is more or less online now, as there is the Spellbomb. Sacrifice the Chromatic Star, maybe? But actually, the way he's lining things up, I think he's going to demonstrate that I have this somewhat infinite loop. Do I need to continue? Because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a little mana here with the Mox Opal. Sacrifice these things, continue to do these things, and start Pyrite Spellbombing you. And I'd like to save all of us a little bit of time if I can. So let me show you, my friend. I was explaining how it will all happen on the stack with Ironworks involved. Explain that I can sacrifice Ironworks for the reason with Mirror Retriever, be able to get it back. If you could see Patrick's face right now, it is one filled with anger and disgust.
It's not even that. It's just apathy.
All right. Well, now you see Ian is going to make him go through it. There's another Scrap Trawler. So how about this? This makes things even easier now that I've found this. Explosives, I can kill all your things if you want me to. All right. Ian is going to finally give in. Now that the engine is fully online and there's nothing he can do about it, as Andrew Kurtzman's going to win game number 1 here over Ian Thorne. Ironworks predictably up a game here over Dredge because the game 1 matchup is so very good. We will go to the sideboards now, however, and we will start things off with Ian's most important card, Leyline of the Void. There are 4 of those. Also 3 copies of Collective Brutality, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Assassin's Trophy, an Ancient Grudge, a Dark Blast, and a Lightning Axe. Our Dredge player's got a lot of good ones here.
Yeah, well, for sure the 4 Leyline of the Voids. This deck goes off through the graveyard. Leyline of the Void's great against them. I think just Shatters are pretty overrated against Ironworks. They have spots of being okay, but, by and large, they're not that effective. I think the Grudge is pretty free to bring in. You could probably talk me into Assassin's Trophy also. Nature's Claim is a little too deep for me, I think.
Well, the other side of things, very quickly, we will take a look at Andrew Kurtzman, who's got 4 Nature's Claims of his own, 4 Silence, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Psy, Master Thopterist, a Back to Nature, and a Galvanic Blast.
I would bring in just the Nature's Claim here as protection against Thorne sideboard cards. The rest of this I wouldn't worry about.
No need to get too complex here?
No, I don't think you want removal, and Silence isn't good against people who don't cast spells. just the Nature's Claims.
Well, those are the options there for both players, and they will sideboard and shuffle up, get ready here for game number 2. Ian Thorne will be on the play this go-around. This matchup is a lot of 2 ships just kind of passing in the night in game number 1, but there will be interaction here in game number 2 and potentially a third one if he can tie things up, but we'll get there in a moment. First, a couple of words from our friends over at Ultimate Guard and their brand new Ammonite Anti-Theft Backpack. That product will be available in February here stateside. But if you'll happen to be at the Essenspiel convention in Germany next weekend, you can come see all the friends at Ultimate Guard, myself included, for a little pre-release of the Ammonite Anti-Theft Backpack.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that should be fun. Patrick, I do have an update here for you on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big one here. Yesterday you talked about produce privilege.
Yeah.
And our friends over at the Vitamin Cottage.
Yeah.
Well, at Ryan Pollock _, I used to work for Vitamin Cottage. Everything Patrick said is 100% accurate. It was also the easiest interview I've ever had as well.
Yeah, of course it was.
If you missed the produce privilege rant, I'm sure it's a Twitch clip by now. And I am really looking for... Vitamin Cottage is a really interesting name.
Yeah.
For anything, really.
Now I think it's called Natural Grocers or something like that.
That's
but
lame.
Vitamin Cottage was the name, I think, prior to me getting to Denver. It's known that way colloquially by the natives.
It is named Natural Grocers now. Mm-hmm. Did see that. I'm actually looking for I want to see what the Vitamin Cottage logo looks like. The Natural Grocers logo is exactly what you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Vitamin Cottage. That's nice. There are a lot of leaves.
Yeah.
Looks like a lovely place to buy groceries.
If you have a whole bunch of proprietary information about,
Produce.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Ian Thorne going to do a little bit more work here with his sideboard, while Andrew Kurtzman, I believe, is already taking a look at his opening hand. So maybe Ian is taking a mulligan here. Not entirely sure, unfortunately. Got stuck in our Vitamin Cottage produce conversation again. I could go for some nice produce, though.
Should come shopping with me sometime then. Maybe you can help me out too.
I go for a nice apple, I think.
It's more complicated than you'd think. Nice can mean a lot of different things, as it turns out. I didn't know this, but now I do.
I spent a lot of time in the restaurant industry, my friend. I've got my fruits and vegetables down. No labeling necessary. Also did a lot of inventory for restaurants, so I'm gonna be okay. I can find the Granny Smith apple or the Washington apples as they were, or my personal favorite, the Honey Crisp, which is honestly way too sweet, but I still like it anyway.
You do have a child's palate.
Thank you, I think. Thank you, I think. Is this because of the root beer float I had yesterday? Is that what this is about?
No, it's not about that, although that doesn't help.
That was really good.
So it looks like Thorne has kept 7, but no ley line involved.
Correct. It's rare you get to see a root beer float with IBC root beer at a restaurant. That's an elite root beer float. It's going to be time for a Shriekhorn activation here in a moment.
Is it time to start? Is it time to dust off Glimpse the Unthinkable?
Just mill 10?
Yeah.
Why? That's an entirely different color.
You have 5-mana lands. The 5-color lands.
You just... I don't know, maybe. It's a pretty good card. I think it's better than Cathartic Reunion.
I don't know. I'm just thinking now that if you're going to the trouble of Shriekhorn, just something to think about.
Oh, so this is about you don't like Shriekhorn.
No, I think Shriekhorn's fine. It costs 1 mana. It's just if you're in the market for 1 mana mill 6 over time,
okay,
it wouldn't shock me if 2-mana mill 10 straight away would be a card you're interested in.
All right.
It's probably not good, but I think it's if you're doing this, then how ridiculous is Glimpse?
No, it's not.
It's close enough,
not,
right?
No. Well, the Dredge decks, back in like 2010, when I played Dredge, I had 4 Glimpse.
Yeah.
And Glimpse was really good.
Yeah.
So,
But I think it's probably just too slow on the draw would be my guess, but I don't know. Just starting to think about it.
a little creepy chill here.
Creeping Chill puts some serious incentives to
playing Glimpse?
Yeah.
Well, what's always been a little strange to me, like the Dredge deck that I used to play way back when, and the Dredge deck that like Yu-Yu Watanabe and some other players top 8 Pro Tours with, like it had Drowned Rusalka and Bridge from Below. Now it also had Dread Return, obviously, but like the Drowned Rusalka Bridge from Below engine was how you just grinded people into dust after sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
Drowned Rusalka was like kind of secretly the best card in the deck, and like it just doesn't see play anymore, and Bridge is not in these decks at all anymore. It's a little strange to me.
There's a lot of different ways you can approach these decks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tools out there that these people don't play. They may not be as good as what they are playing, but there's a lot of different directions you can take this deck.
I do think you're pretty heavily incentivized to play the color red because of Faithless Looting and Conflict.
No, quite. Yeah. Those cards are. You gotta play those.
But how much can you stretch the mana? I think is kind of an interesting question. Because you also used to play a card like Ideas Unbound.
Mm-hmm.
Though I'm pretty sure that Cathartic Reunion is just straight up better than Ideas Unbound.
Yeah, that card's busted too.
Do a little bit of dredging here, will Ian Thorne.
Let's hit a Grudge.
He'll dredge this Life from the Loam, Gemstone Mine, another Creeping Chill, and a Stomping Ground. So Shriekhorn has put quite a few cards in the graveyard. Now here's Cathartic Reunion, going to discard Life from the Loam and Blood Crypt as part of the casting cost. Do a quick scan of the graveyard. Best thing to dredge right now is Life from the Loam here for Cathartic Reunion, so this will be the first one. 1 is a Reunion, 2 is a Stinkweed, 3 is a Leyline of the Void. Now we'll go to Stinkweed Imp. Here come 5 cards. Narcomoeba, Thug, Foothills, Conflagrate, Faithless Looting, just dredge the Thug, Stinkweed, Leyline, Bloodghast, and Loam. So Cathartic Reunion is all taken care of. Those cards will stay in the hand here for Ian Thorne. Trigger Narcomoeba. That'll come back. So any amalgams that are in the graveyard will come back. You see Andrew Kurtzman's going to split those up a little bit because it looks like one Narcomoeba can attack where the other cannot. This is an attack for 3, 4, 5, 6 points of damage. Kurtzman's going to fall down to 7.
Showing lethal next turn, but we'll see if it's enough.
Does he have a land? Yeah, he does have a land to play.
Could grudge something.
So can grudge something, so that's pretty nice, I think. Are we just supposed to potentially just grudge a Mind Stone right now?
That's what I was thinking.
Right?
Because if you do it to the Ironworks, there's no guarantee that's good enough.
Yeah.
And he gets a 2-mana rebate on it anyway, which is the same 2 mana that the Mind Stone is worth.
I think trying to interact with the Ironworks is probably not going to work. I've seen so many people beat that before.
Yeah. They just get to float so much mana in response and whatever. I don't know. I'm not confident, but my instinct was just to blow up the Mind Stone.
Didn't want to blow up the Mox. Legendary and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Probably has another one in hand, but...
It's also a little bit easier to loop via Scrap Trawler than the Mind Stone.
Also, yeah, also that. Well, here's 4 mana. Well, here's Karkland Ironworks. Kurtzman is reaching for those mana counters. Green, red, and colorless. So, away we go. Gonna sacrifice a Citadel and a Mox. 4 colorless. Here's Mirror Retriever. When do you respond with Grudge?
I mean, it's got to be now, right?
Now, right? Yeah. Gonna sacrifice that for 4 mana. Now Retriever will resolve. Is there another Ironworks in hand? Sacrifice that Chromatic Sphere. So 3 and a green.
I think that Kurtzman should have sacrificed the Wellspring in response.
There's a land for the turn.
Like, why not have the extra 2 and the card?
Yeah. That did look slightly unusual. Nature's Claim here. So he's going to gain 4 life. Going to get back an Ironworks. Has the mana to redeploy Ironworks. Now no mana floating. Has already played a land for the turn. Going to sacrifice the Wellspring. 2 mana floating. Draw a card from the Wellspring trigger. Can Kurtzman go off through all of this? There's a Mirror Retriever. All right, get this back. Okay. Sack this for 2. Okay. Star down to 1. Up to 3 potentially. Yep. New card coming here for Andrew Kurtzman. Play a Terrarian down to 2. Thinking about sacking that Terrarian, going up to 4 mana and drawing a new card. That's exactly what Kurtzman's going to do. There's Mind Stone, down to 2 again. Down to 1, draw a card. Remember, he's already played a land for the turn. Can't do that. Played an Inventor's Fair already. And he's dead. And he's dead. So, Ian Thorne, timely Ancient Grudge, it appears. Or at least timely enough. Going to win game number 2 here over Andrew Kurtzman. Dredge, Ironworks getting ready for G3. I don't think much changes for either player. I think, honestly, the sideboarding here is so obvious.
Ley Lines, Nature's Claims. I like Grudge just fine.
Yeah.
I would not bring in Nature's Claim. Thorne did a lot of dredging there and didn't show Nature's Claim, so seems unlikely he brought it in. And I expect these players to basically have the same 60 that they had for game number 3.
Touchdown Browns. It's a brown out.
Brown out.
It's a brown out.
Brown out.
We got a lot of Browns fans here. 2 of them. 2 of them here in Dallas. Take that, Tampa Bay fans.
Brown out.
Nick, what's his name? Nick
Chubb.
Chubb.
Second round pick.
Yeah. Out of Georgia. He's a Georgia Bulldog. Why am I talking like that? I don't know.
It is not a. I'm not going to speculate.
All right.
Whatever that was offended me.
Okay.
I'm not going to speculate.
Great time to go. Great time to go to an Ultimate Guard commercial. Katana sleeves. Let's go. Also available in February are Katana sleeves with Ultimate Guard.
Exciting.
If you like sleeves, which I do.
Yeah.
I used to just buy sleeves all the time and re-sleeves my deck when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
It was like completely ridiculous.
Inefficient.
That was the thing I used to buy from my local store in Strong.
So that was a weird thing too, because I remember back in the day being like, what, I need to pay $3 for a Yavimaya Coast? Are you out of your mind? I'm never doing that. I will pay $15 for sleeves.
Yes, I will.
I will not use after this event.
I want super blue sleeves right now.
Yeah, give me the super blues.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the exact same way. It didn't make any sense, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I
know.
There's nothing like a fresh coat of paint on it.
Right, exactly.
I'll tell you what.
Yep.
Just feels
Drawing
right.
up the first 7.
Woo.
getting to round 6 and realize you've been shuffling your deck so much in between rounds that your sideboard is now marked.
That's true.
That's a great feeling.
That is just true. So you are not wrong about that one.
I love it.
Ley line. All right, Ian. That's a good start. Citadel.
Yeah, that is the card. No guarantee of anything. We saw that Kurtzman had nature claims, but...
Let's see what else Kurtzman wants. Is he just going to kill him on turn 1?
Through a ley line of the void?
I'm joking.
That would be quite the draw. It's anecdotal. I think that would be powerful evidence the deck might be actionable.
There's a Shriekhorn. There's Nicker Wellspring. Spire of Industry, the land. Trigger the Wellspring.
Ian Thorne gives that card a read. Doesn't really have text. It's just about manipulating material through zones.
I think Ian was taking a look at that, and we'll take a look at Icar Wellspring as well, just to see if he's
graveyard or
yeah. How does he get the second half of the card? Shriekhorn.
I imagine it has to go to the graveyard because if that was a leaves play trigger, are you kidding me?
It would be a lot. Yeah, put in the graveyard from the battlefield. Yeah.
This card's already nonsense.
I want you to draw a picture of the blob in the river with metallic grass. Done.
Yeah.
Done. I can do that. I could be a Magic artist. Not even close.
No.
I don't understand how people draw.
And I have always been a terrible artist, and it blows my mind that when people can draw well.
Yeah.
It is basically, for me, indistinguishable from actual magic.
I understand how someone can look at something and go, I'm going to draw that.
Yeah, I can
I'm
just
going to
make
put that on a sheet of paper. It doesn't make any sense to me.
That's something that's, as I've gotten older, has really started to fascinate me, is painting.
Okay.
It's like an unbelievable human achievement.
Yeah.
That you can just put colors onto canvas and we can identify it as a picture of something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just as I've gotten older, it's like, that is really, really cool that people can do that. I can't. But
art class in school, that was just
F.
Yeah.
F.
Oh yeah. I think the art class teacher was always very nice with the grading scale though. They're like, most of you are going to suck
If you are an elementary school or middle school art teacher and you're trying to flunk people, you got into the wrong profession.
That's fair. Ian's got a little something cooking here with the Narcomoeba on the battlefield. Shriekhorn's out of counters at this stage. A Creeping Chill's out of resolve. That's why Kurtzman's down to 16. Take a look at his Psy, Master Thopterus to Thoptomaker. Ian's hand not all that exciting at this stage. But here is a Cathartic Reunion. Going to discard a Conflagrant and a Life in the Loam. Going to start by dredging Loam. Can he build up a big graveyard? Stinkweed Dip is a great place to start. That's the first card dredged over. That'll be the next card that is now used for the Reunion. So 5 cards coming. Life from the Loam, Prized Amalgam, Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt, and a Wooded Foothills. Next one is, as he checks the graveyard, Life from the Loam. 3 more. Foothills, Creeping Chill, Narcomoeba. Narcomoeba's not a bad last card to find. There'll be a trigger there. That means Amalgam will be headed on the way back too. So that is Narcomoeba. There are a couple Amalgams that'll trigger and come on back. Mountain here. That's a Bloodghast. Is the clock fast enough?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at lethal next turn.
That's actually 3 Amalgams, pardon me.
Well, I suppose with Psy that Kurtzman could potentially chump block out of next turn.
Kurtzman's going to need a lot of stuff here, though, folks.
Yep.
He's going to get Nature's Claim to, first of all, turn on his graveyard, and then after that, he's going to need to actually be able to kill Ian Thorne. Because don't forget, Ian does have Conflagrate in the graveyard. And he's also got Life from the Loams hanging out and plenty of cards in hand. Thopter token being made. Nick Miller will arrive here on the battlefield. Thanks to that. Acre Wellspring. And now there is a Buried Ruin.
Doing some math here. Remember, all this still has to involve, almost certainly has to involve Nature's Claim.
Pairings are online at pairings.starcitygames.com, and a paper copy is on its way to the pairings board. Once again, standard classic players, your pairings for round 6 are up.
And I don't think his hand has an Ironworks or a Nature's Claim.
Yeah, I don't think his hand's very good at all. I think Andrew's starting to realize that too.
And he can't really lean on the Thopters here because Confligate can clear those out pretty easily.
That's pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Ian's going to scan the graveyard, make sure there's no dredging to be done. So he's going to take a draw step as he untaps those amalgams first. Cathartic Reunion, the draw. Could see him have some interest in casting that. And build up a bigger graveyard. Or it could just be time to cast Life from the Loam, get some lands back, and let a big fireball rip.
Yeah. 3 mana is kind of the flashpoint for that, as you can loam and then make your land drop.
There is the Loam. He's found three lands he's happy to get back. Blood Crypt, Stomping Ground, and a fetch land. It's almost Conflagrate time. Play a Foothill, sacrifice that. I assume there's at least one more basic mountain to go grab from the deck. I don't think there's any real interest in getting a non-basic here, and so there is a basic mountain. Looks like Ian's got 6 cards in hand, so that's enough to kill Psy and the 2 Thopters.
And he's got 13 coming across.
3, 6, 9, 10, 12, 13. Yeah, that looks like that's probably game.
I mean, if Kurtzman doesn't have something here, then...
Standard classic players, welcome to round number 6. You have 50 minutes.
Looks like Kurtzman just says, you're going to have to go through this and kill me. Don't outthink yourself. And Ian, if you get this right, you are headed on to our elimination rounds later today. The young man who led the standings after day number 1 of competition with Dredge has not squandered the opportunity to make the elimination rounds here, as he'll deal 1 to each Thopter and 4 to Psy. That should clear up the battlefield. And unless Andrew Kurtzman has some sort of response that we are not particularly prepared for, and I think we're going to see our Dredge player on the left march on in to the elimination rounds here. So there may be a copy of Nature's Claim in hand here for Kurtzman, but he'd much rather use that on the ley line.
Yeah, I feel like we would have seen that by now if that was part of it. Yeah.
All right, well, he'll blow up his own thing.
All right, I mean, this is one more turn, but now you're down the Nature's Claim you needed for the ley line, so...
So it's not over quite yet. As Kurtzman goes up to 17 for that Nature's Claim. We'll get the life totals taken care of here in just a moment. His side is going to jump in front of something. Jump in front of Bloodgast.
I think that Thorne might have split up the conflict gate such that he didn't kill Sai.
That's correct.
That's a little bit of an issue here because Sai is potentially another turn of chump blocking.
Yeah, this was a little bit of my concern here. Yeah, 3 went upstairs, and then
So he
1
chopped
went to
one.
Sai,
Yeah.
so that Sai could not block the prize amalgams and get a lot of damage through that way. I guess my concern, that feels like overthinking it a little bit to me.
Yeah. Because if he has Nature's Claim, and you kill the Sai, it's like, okay, you go to your turn, you have nothing going on, and you need to blow up the ley line to be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now if he's just got some artifacts in his hand, he might get another turn.
Two mana here. Another Wellspring, so there'll be another Thopter made. Draw a card. Now, admittedly, Andrew Kurtz is going to have to get pretty darn lucky this game. But it's not impossible. We have seen stranger things happen here with Ironworks. Kurtz will just pass the turn back over to Thorne. See what kind of dredging there is to be done here. It's funny because a Creeping Chill just takes care of things here in this spot too.
Well, he's got it on. Yeah, he doesn't have it on board. Well, no, if he gets the loan back, he loans back Bloodgast. He has it on board.
There's a Creeping Chill.
That makes it easy.
Yes, it does. And that's going to do it. Ian Thorne's going to win this game of Master over Andrew Kurtzman. 2-1. Dredge going to take care of Ironworks, and a big smile for the youngster on the left as he is into the elimination rounds here later today in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas.
Tough game.